Okay, first try to solve question 1 independently. Let's see how to solve the problem. This is a hyperbolic equation. And what will you do when this is just a trigonometry equation, like this? Well, the secret of solving this trigonometry equation is to substitute a transformation so that the equation only has one trigonometry function. And most of the time, you replace the function that has a square. How do we replace sine square x? It equals to 1 minus cosine square x. So if you substitute this into the equation, you will get this. And if you simplify it, it will become like this. This equation is a lot easier than this. Because we have only one trigonometry function here, we may name it as c. Then this will become a lot easier, like this. This is a simple quadratic equation. What you need to do is just solve the equation to get the value of c. When you know, for example, c equals 1 over 2, you can say, okay, cosine x is actually c, so it equals 1 over 2, and then you can solve for x. This is the general idea for solving trigonometry equation. You just need to replace the trigonometry function with a square so that you get trigonometry equation with only one trigonometry function, for example, cosine x, and then just treat it as a simple quadratic equation. So what do we do here? This is hyperbolic function, not trigonometry function, but the general idea is also the same. So we replace sine h square x with something involves cosine hx. What is the relationship between cosine hx and sine hx? Well, it is written in the formula book. What do we do next? We just need to substitute this into the original equation so that you get a beautiful hyperbolic equation with only one hyperbolic function. Try it yourself. And also simplify the hyperbolic equation. You'll get this. And what's next? Just like we said in the former example, you just need to treat cosine hx as one letter, for example, c, and this equation will become a simple quadratic equation. So now, why not solve the simple quadratic equation? Because if you get the value of c, you will also know that the value of cosine hx. C has two values, 3 over 2 or negative 3. Why do we want to know the value of c? Because it is actually cosine hx. Knowing the value of c helps us know the value of cosine hx. So these two values are also the value of cosine hx. But you need to remember one thing. This is the graph of function cosine hx. And you can tell from the graph that it has a minimum value of 1, which means cosine hx is greater than or equal to 1. Or you can say it has a range of 1 to infinity. So you should reject the value of negative 3. Some students are confused that why do we reject a value that we get from the equation? You should know that when someone tells you that c satisfies this equation, his or her underlying c may be 3 over 2 and maybe negative 3. And you solve the equation and get these two values, but you don't know which one is his or her underlying c. So you tell the one who asks you the question, you said, okay, it can be 3 over 2, or it can be negative 3. I don't know which one is your underlying c. Both are possible. But for this equation, you get these two values for cosine hx. You said 3 over 2 is possible. And the examiner said, okay, quite clever, it's possible. But if you tell him that negative 3 is also possible, he will say that not clever enough. Although if you substitute it into the original equation, it will satisfy the equation. The equation will make sense. But you cannot substitute this because cosine hx will never be negative 3 because it has a minimum value of 1. So that's the difference between solving this equation of c and this equation of cosine hx. They look quite similar, but they have a little bit different solution. Okay, what's the next step? Now that you know that cosine hx equals 3 over 2, what you need to do is to solve for x. Because solving an equation means give me the value of x. And beware that when cosine hx equals 3 over 2, you have two possible solutions. And since cosine hx is an even function, it means that these two values are only different on the sign. If this is positive 1, then this is negative 1. So you can say x equals plus or minus some value. And how do you get this value? The good news is you can just check the formula book, and it will tell you one value, which is the positive value. And the value is called arc cosine h of 3 over 2. And the value can be written like this. And you just need to substitute it into the formula. Try it yourself and simplify it. How can this problem be evaluated? Comment below if you'd like to explore more variations.